Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode, actually, our third episode of Reset Mindset Unlock. I have to say it that way for the kiddos. But anyway, we're so happy that you all have decided to join us today, and we're your host, Tracy Powell, and
Beth Hall.
yes, and we are super excited today because we're going to jump right into the topic that we want to discuss today, and it's a great one. We're actually calling it surrendering and let go, which is actually code for trusting God. And I love this one because I think we both have a lot to say
Yeah,
concerning this.
this one is a doozy.
Yes, it is. When we talk about trusting God, it's amazing because I don't know about you, Beth, but I think a lot of us think that we really do trust God. And if we get a little loud, it's because I get excited. So bear with me, people. As we get better, you'll you'll notice. But anyway, I digress. So I think a lot of us think that we trust God and because we believe in him, we know how good he is, we know the things that he can do, and we trust him for the daily things. But when it gets down to hard for where you have to depend on God, life or death situation, that's when we really find out if we trust God. And it's kind of hard. I thought I did. I really thought I trusted
Yeah,
God until the rubber hit the road. And it was through the process of going through things that I learned that I trust God to a point, but I didn't surrender. And if you don't surrender, you're really not trusting God because what is trust?
right.
Trust, yeah, it deals with being um knowing that somebody has the ability or the strength to do things or to get things done, or it's the fact that they're telling you the truth and that you could put everything in his hands. You
Right.
say it, but then it's hard. What do you think?
Exactly. No, I agree. I still struggle with this
Uh-huh.
because it's like my needs are met. Okay, the
Uh-huh.
basic needs. You have a roof over your head, I have clothes to wear, I have food. You have your basic needs. But now you have a goal, and
Yes.
now that goal is to say, you know what, it's okay, you do it, God.
Yes.
Me personally, type A.
Uh-huh.
I like to say, God, do you need my help? Let me just help you out here, because I can get us to whatever the next step a little bit faster. So let me just jump in and help you out. And then you meet me at the next step. Okay. And you take it from there. So this is a daily struggle for me, a
You
daily struggle.
I think you're right. And I think that's what most of us, because like you, that type A personality, I have. And it's hard when you're a leader by nature and you're
Yes.
so used to being the one to solve the problems for
Yes.
everyone else. But
Exactly.
then when it comes to God, we have to understand that when it means to trust him, that that require us to put everything in his hands. Like
Yes.
it's like we just have to give it all to him. And sometimes that requires obedience, meaning that, okay, God, I'm really letting go of this. And I had to look at it this way. I have to be like, okay, I have tried everything, just like you said. You need my
Right.
help with this, because a lot of times we think trusting God means we got to do, 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 do. And
Exactly.
actually, it means sometimes letting the whole thing go. Don't do anything because we're trying to make the timing happen. And
On
trusting
our
God,
time.
yes, trusting God means trusting his timing. And
Yes.
our timing and his timing is two totally different things because
Yes.
a lot of times when we're sitting still, and I know this is for me, Oh my God, this was me all. I literally used to go into little panic attacks because I felt like nothing's happening, nothing's happening. Let me do this. And I'm trying to do what looks like or feels like what should be done. And God was like, when you get through, you need to sit still till I say move
Mm-hmm.
because thinking you have to do something can actually end up hurting yourself.
Right.
You need to just sit still because sometimes that time that we think nothing is happening is the preparation. It's not that he's forgotten us. He knows we've been injured, we've been hurt, we're dealing with things,
Yes.
and we need to heal from certain things. And
Mm-hmm.
that comes with the relationship, which goes right back over into that if you're going to trust God, that's the only way you can have a relation, only way you can um, get have his blessing is to actually turn it over to him, build a relationship with him so you can let it go. And with me, I think I thought that, oh my God, I gotta do something. I gotta do something. And God's like, no, I'm preparing you. We a lot of times we think he's punishing
Right.
us,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not punishing us at all.
That's
God wants
true.
us to, yeah, he wants us to give him our burdens. And I believe it's in oh gosh, let me think. It's in I would say, yes, Psalms 55 and 22, where he says, cast your burdens on the
Okay.
Lord, and he
Mm-hmm.
shall sustain you. And
Yes.
then it says, he shall never, and shall, that's heaven's guarantee. When you hear the word shall, that's heaven's guarantee. He said, and the righteous shall never be moved, which means give whatever we're dealing with, just give it to him. Give it
Yes.
to him. And I had to think of it as like, okay, I'm gonna set all this stuff in a gigantic basket, everything, and including myself, and we're gonna just sit right here at your feet
Right.
until you take it because I've done everything in my power and it doesn't work.
Right. Yes. You know, you could be like, let me start this, and you're doing everything, and you know when it's you doing it, man, versus God doing it. Because
That's right.
if it's his will, then it's like it's just easy. It's just like you just keep walking, it happens. It walk, it happens. But when you're doing it, man's doing it, then all of a sudden you're like, hold on. And you're like looking around to get whatever that is, and then you're going, okay,
Mm-hmm.
let me keep bouncing my head or hitting my head against that wall because I'm like, come on, I'm doing the
Right.
right thing. I mean, I'm being ethical, I'm being right. What's going on?
And a
And
lot of, yeah,
and
you're
a lot
right.
of times you find out that did I tell you to do that? No.
Yeah.
You
And
know, it's
here's
like a little kid, like, no.
it is. It's like, okay, daddy. But, and it's like too, because people might be like, well, how do you know that he's moving or he's telling you to do something? That you know that when you have to put yourself in the position or the posture to hear God speak. Understand that when you are sincere, you quiet yourself, you talk to God. Know that as soon as you talk to him, he hears you. He hears
Mm-hmm,
our voices. He says that he hears our voices and that he will answer us. And when we know that, and just not, you got to remove doubt.
mm-hmm.
You got to remove anxiety because it's in Psalms again where it says about, and I'm say it's still in that 55th chapter of Psalms where it says that, no, it's not Psalms, it's in Proverbs where it says that anxiousness breeds anxiety.
Yeah,
And we don't want to do that. So we have to
yeah.
calm ourselves and just know that if we trust him, like you trust your mom and your daddy,
Mm-hmm.
we trust our parents. We don't even think twice about it. So why can't we trust our Heavenly Father? Get in that position, take his advice, listen to him. And a lot of times when God is telling us to do things or when we put our faith in him, whatever the situation that we've gone through, whatever it may be, if we put it in God's hands, he may require us to do some different things. You know, you think about I can name three off the bat. Noah,
Yeah.
No, risk looking like let's just be honest, a nut.
And yeah, because there was
Because
no water.
there was no water. There
Building
was,
and you're building this big boat.
it's like, what's wrong with that man? But he stayed the course because he knew he heard God's voice. He didn't check with anybody else. He listened to his father. Think about Esther. Esther was another example. She's made a queen, and Mordecai was like, hey, don't get it twisted.
Yeah,
You come to for such a time as this, you're at the throne. You got to save a nation. So
right.
sometimes God will ask us. I think of Peter. No, Paul. I'm sorry, Paul. When he got his call on the road to Damascus, what did he say? He
Mhm.
said that when I want in Galatians, the first chapter, well, I want to say verse 15, for 15 through 17, because I refer to this concerning myself a lot, that when he received his call, he didn't go to Jerusalem and check in with the other disciples. He
No,
didn't go alone. He said he went to Arabia.
yeah,
And guess what he did? He spent 3 years. We don't know that part. We just know about how Paul is this and Paul is that. Paul
right,
went 3 years before he even went where the other disciples were.
right,
Whether it was from the time he got the call on the road or when he got there, I just know it was around 3 years.
right.
And he let God, he went to the school of Jesus Christ. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't he didn't go where all the
Nope.
other leaders were. And sometimes I say that to say because that's what happened to me. I say I went into Arabia when I got hurt, and that's how my relationship built with the Lord, which is me and God. Because you know why? Sometimes when you go through things, you can't ask other people because it's not normal. Who does it on the daily, or how does this happen to other people on the daily basis?
Right.
Sometimes you just gotta go sit at the feet of Jesus, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't need to check with man, check with the Lord. So sometimes we just have to be willing to sit and let him build that relationship with us and put our total trust in him so he can tell us what the next step is or the next move. I'm sorry, I don't mean to
Yeah,
just keep
no.
going on and on.
But here's a tip that
Mhm.
I would recommend for just starting out, or, or things that, because I didn't, know the Bible like that and everything like
Mhm.
that, is when you're trying to say, should I trust the Lord? Take out, me, I'm my journal person.
Yeah, piece of paper.
Take out your notebook and write down the things that God has blessed you already with.
Mhm.
And then you'll probably have pages upon pages upon pages. And honestly, man couldn't have done those things for you. So then, with that, do not look at it and say, wow, if the Lord could do all this for me, then why can't I give him whatever it is that you're, looking for, or needing guidance or
Mhm.
advice in, or anything like that.
I like
Kind
that.
of
Mhm.
put it down, write everything that
Write
you've
it down.
gotten, because for me, I need to see it. I'm just
Right.
one of those people. I need to see it.
Right.
In our heads, yes, it's playing, but other things are playing in our heads. The negativity, the labels, the this, the that,
Mhm.
and everything. And then we have to, that's that noise that is talked about. That's why a lot of times we don't hear the Lord, because the noise
The
that's all up
noise.
in there. So
The
if you
noise.
sit there and write
Yeah.
it out, then you can kind of say, wow,
Yes.
okay, all right, here you go, Lord. Take
And
it.
know, yes, and know this, people, anytime that we do an episode, writing is always going to be a key. Writing it down. That is key because going back and looking at things, but it really helps. And I want to add to that several things. First of all, like we said, imagine for your whatever way you have to imagine once you write it down how you
Right,
give something to the Lord, or if how you imagine how you would trust someone else. Now you can trust a human being, think about how you could put your trust in the Lord. And to add a little responsibility in here. Look up scriptures pertaining to whatever you're dealing with, what you need God to help you with, an answer or a
Yeah.
prayer or something. And then steps that I wanted, a couple of them that I want to say. First, trusting that you hear God, no doubting. Work on the doubt. And that's easier said than done,
Yes.
because whenever the negative thoughts come, kick it out and say something the opposite,
Right.
of whatever. But forgiving is another
Ooh.
big thing in trusting God. And I'm not trying to browbeat or anything, but the word tells us,
Right.
you want God, if you forgive others, God will forgive you.
You.
And it's
That's so
not
true.
about whoever or whatever hurt you. It's so that when we forgive, it gives God permission to take vengeance on our behalf. And
Yes.
let me tell you, he can do it better than we can even begin to think of.
Yes.
So that's a step. Forgive. Um, and then understanding he hears you. He hears you. He says he hears our words. Um, oh, sorry, got a little tongue twisted there for a second. But, and if you're like Beth and I, recognizing that you are a leader
Yeah.
and that sometimes it is hard for you to let control go. And honestly, I think what that boils down to, at
Yeah.
least for in my case, that if I was afraid, if I let go of control and I don't have some say so in this, I'm going to get hurt. It's a form of protection. We
Yes.
try to protect ourselves and we're actually doing more damage. So
Yeah.
recognize that you have a hard time of letting go because you're so busy of, you know, leading at work or at home or whatever. But sometimes we have to understand, okay, this is my issue here. I got to step back, take a breath and be like, okay, God, you know what? I can't do this. I give it to you.
Mhm.
So we have to learn how to just relax. We can't fix everything. Some things are not for us. You
Yeah.
know,
And
that's
when
where
you
it been
give it to him and
give it.
don't go back and go
No.
say, well, 30 days went by. I still don't see whatever that is that I was asking you to fix or help or,
Mm-hmm.
do. Because honestly, sometimes it's not what we, our human minds, think it should be.
Mm-hmm.
It's what he thinks. So it could come in a whole different package.
Yes.
If you're thinking it's supposed to be wrapped up in holiday paper with a bow on it and, looking all whatever. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's coming to you by a total stranger. And this person says, here's this, or here's this information, or I want to offer you a job. Now, you're thinking it's supposed to come from recruiter, it's supposed to come in the email, it's
Gotta
supposed
be
to
open.
be the telephone call. And you know what? You go to the grocery store, you're looking like a hot mess because you're just like, I just got to get some avocados. And then the person comes up and goes, hey, Tracy, how are
Mm-hmm.
you? And
There
you're
you go.
going like, who's this person? I don't know. Yeah, I have a position open and I know you'd be a great fit. So, and then all of a sudden you start exchanging numbers and then
Right.
next thing you know, boom.
Yeah. You just never know where your answer is going to come. And that basically is what she's saying is don't put God in a box.
Yeah,
You can't do it
no.
because we have to be open to allowing him to lead. And that's the bad thing about us when we're so used to God doing something one way, or we think we know the answer, that logic kicks in.
Yes.
And there is no logic when it
No.
comes to the spirit realm. Sorry, that's just the way it is.
What?
So gotta let him do it his way and just be open to it. And your spirit you will have a connection where you will
Yes.
know what's God. And then too, even if you don't see something happening right away, delays are not always denials. Remember, we talk about preparation time.
Mhm.
Maybe God sees there's something in your heart that you just still need to deal with, or there's some things that maybe there's something he's preparing for you that you couldn't even begin to imagine. And that might be through a series of, okay, you start here and then you ended up meeting someone there and then they take you here. You just got to be open to the leading of the Lord. So, don't get bogged down in depression, because if you get yourself depressed, panic attacks, trying to handle it yourself, the only thing you're going to do is just compound the confusion, make things worse, when you can just sit back and relax, trust the Lord, and lead as He leads you. Or if you make a step, ask God about it and say, hey, is this where I should go? This is not. And He'll let you know. He will
Yeah.
let you know. And you will know that because either it's going to work or it's not. It's not that He's denying you, He's helping you. But we've got to let Him take control, because a lot of times if we step in, He'll sometimes God will sit back and be like, okay, when you get done, come call me. And it,
You
been
call
down
me
that
because I'll
road.
clean up the mess. I
I
know.
cleaned up the mess, but you could be there a lot sooner if you let me handle it.
Exactly.
Uh, so we say all that to say that people, God sees you, He hears you. We just have to let go and let Him take control. Let go and let God.
He's
And
not a
so,
genie in a bottle.
no.
And so, I know we all, especially during these times, people just say, I just want $1 million, Lord, and expect to be playing the
Yes.
lottery and all this stuff. And, if that's not his will for you, then you ain't getting $1 million, okay?
True, true, true.
It might
He
be
will def.
else that he has. I mean, he already knows what you're supposed to do.
Hmm.
And I mean, before you were a thought in your mother's womb, he
Yes.
knew that he was going to have you do whatever this or whatever. So I would say build that relationship with God. Don't
Yes.
just use him. Don't think you have to be perfect coming to him.
Hmm.
Just come to him and say, and repent,
Yeah.
and say, I'm sorry. I did it my way. And you know
Yeah.
what? I learned the
And
hard way.
that's normal. And I'm going to say this: I tend to throw the Bible in there a lot, because
Right.
that's where we need to go. Perfect example of that. I love this situation with Peter about walking on the water.
Yes.
You know, uh, they saw Jesus, was scared, thought he was a ghost. Once again, thinking somebody trying to hurt you. He wasn't. He was coming
No.
to them. But Peter was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I like the fact too that Peter was like, he had the courage to ask God, well, if it's you, Jesus, then bid me to come to you." He had courage, and that lets me know that even those of us, sometimes we have courage and we take a step forward, we can still miss it a little bit. Because even though
Right.
he had the courage to come when Jesus said, come to him, he was doing great long as he kept his eye on Jesus and let Jesus lead and guide him. But
Yes.
soon as he looked just a second the other way and got twisted by the winds, he began to sink. So he had the courage when the others didn't have the courage to walk. He
Right.
had the courage, but he still started to waver. So even if you got, it's okay. Even if you took your eyes off of Jesus for a minute, it's okay. Focus right back on him, and he will bid you to come to him and just go and give it to him. And long as we don't get, and when I'm talking about the winds and the waves, I'm talking about the stresses and the situations of life,
Life.
the problems, our
Yeah.
jobs, our bosses, our family, them hard-headed kids, whatever it may be. Tune the noise out
Yeah.
and just keep your eyes straight on him,
Yeah.
and he will lead you, because he says, he says that he'll make the crooked places straight, and he'll
Yes.
direct our paths, but we
Yeah.
got to let him do it.
Yeah.
And that,
When you're frustrated and you go into your bedroom and you go on your bed and you flop down, guess which way you're looking? You're looking up.
yep.
So have a conversation with him and say, whatever it is,
Yes. And believe it or not, just the fact that you came and that
yes,
you humbled yourself, God honors that. He wants to know we can't fix it, and that we're relying on him.
yeah, And he
So,
also knows if you're being genuine or if you're just
yes,
doing it just because I listened to a podcast. They said, try this, and I'm doing this. He wants you. He's never going to force himself. So if you accept him, then just go ahead and just say, you know what? He's the best listener. Let me tell
yes,
you.
he is. Yes, he is. And will show up, let you know, will confirm with you
Yes.
that he hears you. So, with that being said, this week, what we would like you to do is whatever you're dealing with,
Yeah.
whatever problem, whatever concern, as my friend said, write it down, write how you feel about it, um, what you need, and then just say, hey, God, I'm going to try this. I want to give this to you. And don't think twice. Don't come back on it.
Nope.
And just let him guide you. And go pick up that word. Go to the word and pray about it. And you will hear God speak. And he will lead you or he will give you peace about it. And
Mhm.
if those of you who want to know Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, just confess with your heart and your mouth that he Lord, that he was crucified, he died, and he rose again, and you're saved. And with that being said, we want you guys to know that we really thank you for tuning in this week. Uh,
Yes.
Relax, surrender, and let God. You're not alone. We've been through
Yeah.
this. And we'll see you on the next episode of Reset Mindset Unlocked because it's all about how we change our mind and our thinking. Beth,
No, that's it. You, you took us out. Thank you.
you're welcome. Bye.